The massive space station floated in the darkness like a metal city. Nexus Prime was bigger than most planets, with towers and domes stretching in every direction. Ships from dozens of worlds docked at its ports, bringing representatives from across the galaxy. Admiral Hyunwoo walked through the long corridors toward the main chamber. His black uniform carried the blue and white flag of Earth, still new among all the alien symbols. Other beings moved past him, some floating, some crawling, some that looked like walking crystals. They all stared at the human as he passed. The main chamber was enormous. Rows of seats curved around a central platform, each designed for different types of alien bodies. Some seats were filled with water for aquatic species. Others glowed with energy for beings made of pure light. The air itself changed from section to section to keep everyone alive. Hyunwoo took his place at the human section. Just one chair among hundreds. Earth had joined the Galactic Council only 5 years ago, making them the newest members. Around him, representatives chittered, buzzed, and made sounds no human throat could produce. At the center of the chamber stood Veltar of the Centauri. The alien looked almost human except for the silver skin and 3 arms. Veltar had been the council speaker for over 200 years. His voice carried easily through the chamber when he spoke. "We gather today to address the human problem," Veltar announced. The chamber fell silent. In 50 Earth years, humans have spread to 12 star systems. This expansion threatens galactic stability. A massive insect-like creature stood up. This was Grixmoth of the Hive Collective. Her voice sounded like 1,000 bees speaking at once. The humans advance too quickly. They learn too fast. They build weapons we do not understand. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Hyunwoo remained silent, watching the aliens discuss his species like they were not there. Another representative spoke up. This one looked like a walking tree with glowing sap for blood. The Verdani took 3,000 years to spread to 5 systems. The Centauri needed 2,000 years for 10 systems. How do humans achieve 12 systems in 50 years? Human technology advances too rapidly, added a representative from the Christic. The being looked like living diamond, its voice ringing like struck crystal. They have quantum drives, fusion weapons, genetic enhancement. Technologies that should take millennia to develop. Veltar raised one of his 3 hands for silence. The council has decided. Humanity must accept new terms for continued membership. He turned to face Hyunwoo directly. Earth will surrender all quantum drive technology to council oversight. Human military forces will be reduced by 70%. All human colonies will accept council governors to ensure proper development. The chamber buzzed with approval. Many aliens nodded or made gestures of agreement with their various appendages. Veltar continued. Human genetic enhancement programs will cease immediately. All advanced weapons research will be transferred to council control. Earth will provide full technical specifications for all spacecraft and defensive systems. Grixmoth's insect eyes gleamed. This is for the good of the galaxy. Humans must learn to develop slowly, properly like civilized species. The alternative, Veltar said, his voice growing cold, is expulsion from the council and immediate sanctions. No human ship will be allowed in council space. No trade agreements. No diplomatic protection. Complete isolation until humanity learns proper behavior. The chamber filled with clicking, buzzing, and electronic sounds as aliens discussed the ultimatum among themselves. Some seemed pleased. Others appeared nervous. A few looked directly at Hyunwoo, waiting for his response. The human admiral sat quietly for several minutes. He had expected this day would come. Earth's intelligence services had detected growing concern among the alien races about human expansion. What they had not expected was such harsh demands. Finally, Hyunwoo stood up. The chamber gradually fell silent as all eyes turned to the lone human representative. He was not tall compared to many of the aliens, but something in his presence commanded attention. "The Galactic Council wants Earth to surrender our technology," Hyunwoo said, his voice calm and clear. "You want us to reduce our military forces. You want alien governors on human worlds. You want us to stop our research programs." "Correct," Veltar replied. "These terms are not negotiable. Humanity has 30 standard days to comply fully." Hyunwoo nodded slowly. "I understand your position." He paused, looking around the chamber at the hundreds of alien faces watching him. "Earth has considered this possibility for some time. We have prepared our response. The aliens leaned forward in their various seats, waiting for humanity's surrender. Earth's answer is simple, Hyun-woo continued. We refuse all terms. We withdraw from the Galactic Council, effective immediately. We will seek no further diplomatic contact with any council member species. The chamber erupted in shocked sounds. Electronic screeches mixed with organic roars and psychic pulses of disbelief. Several representatives jumped to their feet, or what passed for feet in their species. You cannot simply leave, Veltar shouted over the noise. The council decides who may exist in this galaxy. Grixmoth's buzzing voice rose above the chaos. Humans will regret this decision. The council will ensure your isolation becomes permanent. Other aliens joined the shouting. Threats and warnings filled the air in dozens of languages. Some promised economic destruction. Others spoke of military action. A few suggested humanity would destroy itself without council guidance. Hyun-woo listened to it all with no expression on his face. When the noise reached its peak, he turned and began walking toward the exit. His boots made steady sounds on the metal floor as he moved between the rows of alien representatives. Admiral, Veltar called after him. You will return to this chamber. The council is not finished. Hyun-woo reached the chamber doors without looking back. They slid open with a soft hiss. Just before stepping through, he paused and spoke without turning around. The council is finished with Earth. We choose freedom over your protection. Good day. The doors closed behind him with finality. Inside the chamber, the aliens continued shouting, but their voices became muffled by the thick walls. Hyun-woo walked back through the corridors of Nexus Prime, past the same aliens who had stared at him earlier. Now they looked at him with fear, anger, and confusion. At the docking bay, his ship waited. The crew was already preparing for departure. Within an hour, the human vessel left Nexus Prime and began the long journey back to Earth. Behind them, the Galactic Council continued their emergency session, planning responses to humanity's unexpected defiance. None of them suspected what humanity was really planning. 3 years had passed since Admiral Hyun-woo walked out of the council chamber. The galaxy waited for humanity's next move, but it never came. Instead, something far more disturbing happened. Humanity vanished. Dr. Yoon-ji stood in her office on Luna Station looking out at the Earth below. She had once been Earth's chief diplomat to the Council. Now she ran the Human Independence Protocol from this secret base on the moon. Her job was to monitor what the aliens were doing while humanity prepared for their next step. The reports coming in were all the same. Council ships had searched every human colony, every outpost, every known human base in the galaxy. They found nothing but empty buildings and silent machines. On her desk, a communication device buzzed. Yoon-ji pressed a button and Captain Taeho's face appeared on the screen. He was calling from somewhere far beyond the galaxy's edge, but the quantum communication made it seem like he was in the next room. Status report from the fleet, Taeho said. All civilian populations have been successfully relocated to the new settlements. The last transport ships arrived yesterday. Yoon-ji nodded. Any problems with the ghost drives? None at all. The ships remain completely undetectable during transit. The aliens have no idea we can move entire fleets without leaving any trace. The ghost drive was humanity's greatest secret. While the aliens had argued about human expansion, human scientists had been working on something revolutionary. The drive didn't just move ships faster than light. It moved them outside normal space entirely, through dimensions the aliens didn't even know existed. What about the colonies themselves? Yoon-ji asked. All infrastructure left intact as planned. Automated systems are maintaining everything perfectly. To outside observers, it looks like everyone just disappeared overnight. This had been the hardest part of the plan. Millions of humans had to leave their homes with only what they could carry. Entire cities were abandoned, their streets empty, but their lights still shining. The goal was to make it look like humanity had simply vanished without explanation. Taeho's expression grew serious. The aliens are getting desperate. Our monitoring stations report council fleets searching systems they've never entered before. They're afraid. Yoon-ji understood why. In the 3 years since humanity left the council, 12 more species had been forced to accept protective oversight. The Aquilani water dwellers had lost their independence after refusing to share their biotechnology. The peaceful Verdani tree people were now under council management because their worlds had valuable minerals. What Veltar calls protection looks a lot like conquest, Yoon-ji said. The other species are starting to notice, Taeho agreed. Our intelligence agents report growing resistance movements on several worlds. Some species are asking about the humans who stood up to the council. Through her window, Yunji could see the construction lights of the new military shipyards hidden on the far side of the moon. Day and night, automated factories built ships using designs the council had never seen. Technologies developed during humanity's years of isolation were being turned into weapons of liberation. A new voice joined the conversation. General Wu Jin appeared on the screen, calling from the main command center of New Seoul. The massive space station was humanity's new capital, built in the dark space between galaxies where no alien sensors could detect it. "We have new intelligence," Wu Jin reported. "The Council is planning something called the Final Integration Protocol. They want to bring all remaining independent species under direct Council control within 5 years." Yunji felt her stomach tighten. This was worse than they had expected. "How many species are we talking about?" 43 independent civilizations. Everyone who isn't already under Council oversight." Wu Jin's face was grim. "They're not even pretending it's for protection anymore. Veltar is calling it necessary for galactic stability." The three humans were quiet for a moment, thinking about what this meant. Billions of beings were about to lose their freedom, and no one was strong enough to stop the Council. "No one except humanity. There's more," Wu Jin continued. "Grixmoth's Hive Collective is building new military bases in neutral space. They're preparing for resistance. Any species fighting back yet?" Taeho asked. "The Drakmari warrior clans are talking about it. So are the Christek miners. But they can't stand against the full Council fleet." "Not alone." Yunji turned back to her window. In the distance, she could see the blue and green of Earth, peaceful and beautiful. It looked so innocent. But she knew the planet was now protected by defensive systems that could destroy entire fleets. Humanity had not been idle during their exile. "What's the status of Operation Homecoming?" she asked. Wu Jin smiled for the first time during the conversation. "Fleet Admiral Do Hyun reports all ships ready for deployment. The Ghost Fleet is complete. 1,000 battleships," Taeho said with satisfaction. "Each one more powerful than anything the Council has ever built." Yunji had seen the technical specifications. The new human ships were impossible by alien standards. They could phase in and out of normal space. Their weapons could adjust probability itself, making enemy shots miss while ensuring human weapons always hit their targets. Most importantly, they could appear anywhere in the galaxy instantly using the Horizon Drive. "The Council thinks humanity disappeared because we were afraid," Yunji said. "They're about to learn how wrong they are." A soft chime indicated another incoming message. This one came from deep space, from one of the hidden monitoring stations watching Council territory. The message was simple but urgent. "Integration protocol has begun. Council fleets are moving against the first target worlds." The three humans looked at each other through their quantum communication link. They had hoped for more time to prepare, but the Council had forced their hand. "How long until we're ready?" Shunji asked. "Fleet Admiral Do Hyun says the ships can deploy immediately," Wu Jin replied. "All human forces are at full readiness. And the liberated species? Are they ready to fight for their freedom?" "Our agents have been in contact with resistance groups on every targeted world. They're waiting for the signal." Taeho leaned forward. "What are your orders?" Yunji looked out at Earth one more time. Somewhere down there in hidden bunkers, the leaders of humanity were making the same decision she was about to make. It was time for humanity to come home. "Send the message to all fleet commanders," she said. "Operation Homecoming is approved. Begin Phase 1 immediately." "Understood," Wu Jin said. "The Ghost Fleet will be in position within 72 hours. As the communication ended, Yunji remained at her window. Soon the galaxy would see what humanity had built during their years of silence. The Council thought they had won when the humans disappeared. They were about to discover that humanity had simply been getting ready for war. In the darkness of space, invisible to all alien sensors, 1,000 human battleships began their journey home. The age of Council tyranny was about to end, and the age of liberation was about to begin. The silence was finally broken. High Chancellor Veltar stood before the great window of his new palace on Centauri Prime, watching the construction of the largest military fleet in galactic history. With humanity gone, the Council had grown bold. What started as protection had become control, and control had become conquest. "The integration protocol proceeds ahead of schedule," reported his aide, a nervous Centauri named Kethlan. 17 species have accepted full Council oversight in the past year. Veltar smiled with satisfaction. The humans had done him a favor by leaving. Their defiance had given him the perfect excuse to tighten control over everyone else. What about the resistant worlds? The Aquilani continue to refuse our biotechnology sharing requirements. The Drakmari clans are ignoring our military quotas, and the Kristek miners have stopped responding to our communications entirely. Then they will learn the same lesson the humans should have learned, Veltar said coldly. The galaxy has room for only one authority. Far away in a hidden station between the galaxies, General Wu Jin watched these same events through humanity's secret surveillance network. For 3 years, humans had monitored every council meeting, every military movement, every act of oppression. What they saw made them more determined than ever to return. The council isn't even pretending to be peaceful anymore, Wu Jin said to his staff. Around the table sat humanity's top military leaders, all exiled from their home galaxy, but not defeated. Look at what they did to the Thermians. The holographic display showed the Thermian homeworld. The Star Builders had once been proud masters of stellar engineering, capable of moving entire suns. Now their world was covered with council monitoring. Stations and their people worked as conscripted laborers. They forced the Thermians to build artificial, sun-to-power council military bases, reported Intelligence Officer Sojin. The entire species has been enslaved in everything but name. Colonel Min Su pointed to another display. The Voidkin are even worse off. The council is using their psychic abilities for interrogation and mind control. They've turned natural telepaths into unwilling spies. Wu Jin felt anger building in his chest. The Voidkin had been allies of humanity before the exile. They were peaceful beings who used their mental gifts to help others understand each other. Now they were forced to invade minds and steal secrets for their council masters. What about species that are fighting back? Asked Commander Yerin. The Drakmari warrior clans are putting up the strongest resistance, Sojin reported. But they're outnumbered 50 to 1. The council is slowly wearing them down through blockades and economic pressure. The Kristek miners tried a different approach, Min Su added. They sealed their tunnels and refused all contact with the outside galaxy. The council responded by bombarding their outer settlements until they opened communications again. Wu Jin studied the intelligence reports with growing determination. Every day brought new evidence of council tyranny. Species that had existed independently for thousands of years were being reduced to client states. Ancient cultures were being erased and replaced with council-approved versions. A communication alert sounded. Admiral Do Hyun appeared on the main screen, calling from the flagship of humanity's hidden fleet. Behind him, the Bridge of Soul's Pride hummed with activity as crews prepared for the operation ahead. Status report from the Ghost Fleet, Do Hyun announced. All ships are ready for deployment. We have 1,000 battleships equipped with the latest human technology. Each ship can operate independently or as part of the collective network. What about the new weapon systems? Wu Jin asked. The quantum disruption cannons can phase through any known defensive shield. The probability manipulation fields ensure our weapons hit while enemy fire misses. Most importantly, the Horizon Drive allows instant deployment anywhere in the galaxy. Dr. Sungmin, humanity's top physicist, joined the conversation from his laboratory. The quantum consciousness network is operational. All ship artificial intelligences are linked, allowing them to share tactical information instantly across any distance. This was humanity's greatest advantage. While alien fleets had to communicate through slow subspace channels, human ships thought as one mind. Every lesson learned by one ship was immediately available to all others. Target selection is complete, reported strategic analyst He Jin. We've identified key council facilities on 47 worlds. Simultaneous strikes will cripple their ability to coordinate resistance. Wu Jin looked at the tactical display showing council territory. Red markers indicated military bases, government centers, and communication hubs. Blue markers showed resistance groups and oppressed populations that could be contacted once liberation began. What about civilian casualties? He asked. Zero-tolerance policy remains in effect, Do Hyun confirmed. Our weapons are designed for precision strikes only. We liberate, we don't destroy. This was what separated humanity from the Council. Where the aliens used overwhelming force and accepted massive casualties, humans had developed weapons that could disable enemy systems without harming the people inside them. A priority message arrived from one of the deep space monitoring stations. Captain Jinho's face appeared on screen, his expression urgent. General, the Council has just announced the final integration protocol. They're moving to bring all remaining independent species under direct control within 6 months. The room fell silent. 6 months was much faster than anyone had expected. How many species are we talking about? Wu Jin asked. 43 civilizations representing over 200 billion beings. The Council wants complete control of the galaxy before the end of the year. Commander Yeren spoke up. If we wait much longer, there won't be anyone left to liberate. Wu Jin nodded grimly. Humanity had hoped for more time to prepare, but the Council had forced their hand. Every day of delay meant more species falling under alien control. Send a message to all resistance groups, he ordered. Tell them to prepare for liberation. Humanity is coming home. What about the timeline? Du Hyun asked. Operation Homecoming begins immediately. All ships are to reach their deployment positions within 72 hours. The liberation of the galaxy starts now. As the meeting ended, Wu Jin remained alone with the tactical displays. Red markers showed the vast extent of Council control, but blue markers indicated something more important, the spirit of freedom that still existed in the galaxy. Millions of beings were waiting for someone to stand up to the Council. For 3 years, humanity had watched from the shadows as tyranny spread across the stars. They had built weapons, trained soldiers, and prepared for this moment. The Council thought humanity had run away in fear. They were about to learn that humans had simply been getting ready for war. In hidden bases across the void between galaxies, 1,000 human battleships prepared for departure. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a planet, but their mission was liberation, not destruction. They would return to a galaxy that had forgotten the meaning of freedom and remind everyone what it looked like. The age of Council dominance was about to end, and the age of liberation was about to begin. The emergency alarm screamed through the corridors of Nexus Prime. High Chancellor Veltar ran through the station's halls, his 3 arms clutching urgent reports that made no sense. Behind him, panicked aides struggled to keep up as they headed for the main command center. Explain this again, Veltar demanded as they reached the central chamber. The massive room was filled with Council technicians working frantically at their stations. Multiple screens showed sensor readings from across the galaxy. Gravitational distortions detected simultaneously at 47 star systems, reported Chief Analyst Kriksdal, his crystalline body pulsing with nervous energy. Each distortion appears exactly 1 light hour from Council member worlds. Veltar stared at the displays. Perfect spherical formations surrounded every major Council world. The pattern was too precise to be natural, too coordinated to be coincidence. What kind of ships cause distortions this large? He asked. Unknown, Chancellor. Our sensors show nothing but empty space, yet the gravitational readings indicate massive objects in perfect formation. Grixmoth arrived in the command center, her insectoid form clicking with agitation. The hive mind cannot process this data. Our psychic scouts report terror from our colonies, but they see nothing. Nothing visible, corrected Dr. Minho, the human physicist who had remained on Nexus Prime as a Council advisor. He had warned them years ago about humanity's technological capabilities, but no one had listened. Chancellor, I believe you should prepare for contact. Contact with what? Veltar snapped. There's nothing there. On the bridge of Soul's Pride, Fleet Admiral Do Hyun watched the tactical displays with satisfaction. 1,000 human battleships hung in perfect formation around 47 Council worlds. Each ship was the size of a small moon, equipped with technology that made them invisible to alien sensors. All ships report ready status, announced Communications Officer G1. Phase cloaks are stable. Quantum shields are active. Horizon drives are charged for immediate deployment. Du Hyun nodded. The Ghost Fleet had taken 3 years to build, but every ship represented the peak of human engineering. Invisible to enemy sensors, immune to most weapons, and capable of striking anywhere in the galaxy instantly. Open galaxy-wide communications, he ordered. All frequencies, all languages, maximum broadcast power. Jiwon's fingers danced over her controls. Channel open, Admiral. Broadcasting to every world in Council space. Du Hyun activated the communication array. His words would reach every Council world simultaneously, heard by billions of beings across the galaxy. This is Fleet Admiral Do Hyun of the Human Free Systems. His voice carried clearly through space to every listening ear. 4 years ago, the Galactic Council demanded our surrender. We chose freedom instead. Today, we return to offer the galaxy the same choice. In the command center of Nexus Prime, Veltar stared at the main screen in shock. The human's face looked exactly as he remembered from their last meeting. Calm, determined, and completely unafraid. To the oppressed species of Council space, Du-hyun continued, your liberation begins now. To the Council leadership, your tyranny ends today. We have watched. We have seen what you built in our absence. It will not stand, Grixmoth buzzed angrily. Impossible! Our sensors show no ships. How can they broadcast from empty space? Dr. Minho stepped forward. Chancellor, I tried to warn you. Human technology advances exponentially, not linearly like ours. They've had 4 years to develop capabilities we can't imagine. The broadcast continued. For 4 years you have enslaved species that sought only to live in peace. You have stolen their technology, conscripted their people, and destroyed their cultures. You called it protection, but the galaxy knows it for what it truly is, conquest. On worlds across the galaxy, billions of beings looked up at their skies. To their naked eyes they saw nothing unusual, but instruments detected massive objects hanging in space like new stars on the horizon. We offer the Council one opportunity for peaceful surrender, Du-hyun announced. Release all species under forced oversight. Withdraw all military forces to your home systems. Allow free elections on every world under Council control. You have 1 standard hour to comply. Veltar found his voice. Open a response channel now. Channel open, Chancellor, a technician reported. This is High Chancellor Veltar of the Galactic Council, he broadcast back. You are in violation of galactic law. Surrender immediately or face the consequences. Du-hyun's image smiled slightly. Chancellor, you misunderstand your situation. Look again at your sensor readings. On cue, every human ship simultaneously dropped their phase cloaks for exactly 1 second. For that brief moment, Council sensors detected 1,000 massive objects surrounding their worlds. Then the ships vanished again, leaving only confused readings and terrified populations. 1,000 battleships, Do-hyun explained calmly. Each one more advanced than anything in your combined fleets. We can appear anywhere, anytime, without warning. Your defenses cannot stop us. Your weapons cannot harm us. The command center of Nexus Prime fell silent except for the humming of machinery. Veltar looked at the sensor displays showing impossible readings from impossible ships using impossible technology. What do you want? He asked quietly. Freedom for every being in this galaxy. The choice to govern themselves without Council interference. The right to develop their own technology and follow their own path. Grixmoth stepped forward, her compound eyes gleaming with fury. The Council will never surrender. We have fleets.
We have weapons.
We will fight! Then you will lose, Do-hyun replied simply. We've spent 4 years preparing for this moment. Every scenario has been calculated. Every outcome has been planned. You cannot win because you're fighting for conquest while we're fighting for freedom. On the screen, the Admiral turned to address someone off camera. Signal all ships. The Council has rejected our offer. Begin liberation operations immediately. Wait, Veltar called out. We need time to consider. Time is what the oppressed species don't have, Do-hyun interrupted. Every day you remain in power is another day of suffering for billions of beings. That ends now. The transmission cut off, leaving the Council command center in stunned silence. Around the galaxy, resistance groups that had been waiting years for this moment began to act. Hidden weapons caches were opened. Secret communication networks activated. The liberation had begun. On Aqua Prime, the Aqualani water dwellers emerged from their forced labor camps to find human soldiers already fighting Council guards. The humans moved like ghosts through the alien facilities, their weapons stunning enemies without permanent harm. On Christek the Seven, miners who had been enslaved for years watched in amazement as human ships appeared in their underground caverns. The newcomers brought medical supplies, food, and most importantly, news that they were no longer alone in their resistance. On the Drakmari homeworld, warrior clans that had fought the Council for months received messages from human commanders offering alliance and support. The proud fighters roared their approval as human weapons materialized in their hands. Back on Nexus Prime, Veltar stared at incoming reports from across the galaxy. Every Council facility was under attack. Every garrison was being overwhelmed. Every symbol of Council authority was being systematically dismantled. How is this possible? He whispered. Dr. Minho answered quietly. Because they're not conquering, Chancellor. They're liberating. The people are fighting with them, not against them. On his flagship, Admiral Do-hyun watched the liberation begin through tactical displays that showed every engagement simultaneously. Human forces struck with precision and overwhelming technological superiority, but their goal was not destruction, it was freedom. Liberation operations proceeding as planned, reported Tactical Officer Narration. No civilian casualties reported. Council military resistance is minimal. What about their main fleets? Do-hyun asked. Attempting to coordinate a response, but our quantum jamming is disrupting their communications. They're fighting blind while we see everything. Do-hyun nodded. The quantum consciousness network gave humanity an impossible advantage. Every human ship shared the knowledge and experience of all others instantly. It was like fighting a single opponent with 1,000 hands and 1,000 eyes. Time to completion? He asked. At current pace, all primary objectives will be achieved within 72 hours. Do-hyun looked out at the stars, knowing that across the galaxy, freedom was being restored one world at a time. The Council had built an empire of oppression, but they had forgotten the most important truth about sentient beings. They yearned to be free. Humanity had returned not as conquerors, but as liberators, and liberation, once begun, was impossible to stop. Supreme Commander Na Young stood in the war room of New Seoul, watching hundreds of tactical displays show battles across the galaxy. Each screen represented a different world being liberated, a different species being freed from Council control. The Liberation War had been planned for years, and now it was unfolding with perfect precision. Status report from all fronts, she ordered. Aqua Prime liberation is complete, reported Colonel Jun-ho via quantum communication. All Aquilani refugee camps have been freed. Council guards surrendered without significant resistance once they realized their weapons couldn't penetrate our armor. Na Young nodded. The human Marines had performed exactly as expected. Their adaptive armor could function in any environment. Underwater, in vacuum, in toxic atmospheres, even in the crushing depths of gas giant cores. What had taken the Council decades to control, humanity liberated in hours. What about civilian casualties? She asked. 0. Our neural disruptors stunned all Council personnel without permanent damage. The Aquilani are already beginning to establish their own provisional government. This was the key difference between Council conquest and human liberation. Where the aliens used overwhelming force that destroyed everything in its path, humans used precision weapons that disabled enemies without killing them. Every Council soldier would wake up with a headache and find themselves in a prison cell, but they would wake up alive. Commander Ye-jin reporting from the Christek mining worlds, came another voice through the quantum network. We've freed approximately 3 million enslaved miners. The underground cities are secure. Any resistance from Council forces? Na Young asked. Minimal. Once our engineers began repairing the environmental damage the Council ignored, most of the local garrisons switched sides. Turns out even alien soldiers don't enjoy breathing poisoned air. The mining worlds had been some of the worst examples of Council oppression. The silicon-based Christek had been forced to work in conditions that slowly killed them, all to extract rare minerals for Council weapons. Human environmental engineers were already beginning restoration projects that would heal decades of damage. What's the tactical situation at Centauri Prime? Na Young asked. Captain Minwoo's voice came through with the sound of weapons fire in the background. We've secured the capital city. High Chancellor Veltar has barricaded himself in the government complex with his remaining loyal forces, requesting permission to deploy phase assault troops. Negative. Maintain the perimeter and broadcast surrender terms. We're liberators, not executioners. This was another crucial element of the human strategy. Instead of simply destroying enemy leadership, they offered every Council member the chance to surrender and face trial for their crimes. Justice, not revenge, was the goal. A new voice joined the communication network. Dr. Sung-min called from his research station, where he monitored the quantum consciousness network that linked all human forces. Commander, I'm detecting some unusual patterns in the enemy response. Several Council fleets are attempting to coordinate a counterattack, but their communications are heavily disrupted. Our quantum jamming working as expected? Na Young asked. Better than expected. The alien communication systems are so primitive compared to ours that our jamming appears to be causing complete system failures. They can't coordinate anything larger than single ship operations. Na Young smiled grimly. The Council had ruled through superior numbers and coordination. Take away their ability to work together, and their military advantage disappeared. Human ships linked through quantum consciousness could act as a single unified force while alien fleets were reduced to individual vessels acting alone. Priority alert from the Voidkin homeworld, announced Intelligence Officer So-hyun. The psychic species is requesting immediate assistance. Council forces are threatening to execute telepathic prisoners if we don't withdraw. Na-young's expression hardened. The Voidkin had been among humanity's closest allies before the exile. Seeing them enslaved and used as unwilling psychic weapons had been one of the most painful intelligence reports during the years of preparation. Dispatch the 7th Ghost Squadron immediately. Authorization for full-phase assault if negotiations fail. Understood. Captain Dongmin is already en route with specialized anti-psychic equipment. The anti-psychic technology was another human innovation. While the Council had simply enslaved telepathic species, humans had developed ways to shield minds from unwanted intrusion, while amplifying natural psychic abilities. The Voidkin would not only be freed but enhanced. "Commander," came a new voice from Admiral Do-hyun aboard Seoul's Pride. "We're receiving surrender requests from multiple Council member species. 17 different civilizations are asking to switch sides. What's their status? Most claim they were forced into Council membership and want to join the liberation effort. Intelligence suggests they're telling the truth. Internal documents show the Council threatened several species with extinction if they didn't comply." Na-young considered this carefully. The original plan had assumed most Council member species were willing participants in the oppression. If many had been coerced, it changed the nature of the liberation entirely. Accept all surrender requests but verify their claims through independent investigation. Any species that was forced into Council membership gets full amnesty. Anyone who participated willingly faces war crimes tribunals. Understood. That brings our total allied forces to over 2 million ships from 34 different species. The numbers were staggering. What had begun as a human liberation force was rapidly becoming a galactic coalition of free peoples. The Council's empire was collapsing not through military defeat but through mass defection. "What about the Drakmari warrior clans?" Na-young asked. "They've pledged their entire military to our cause," reported tactical analyst Hayrin. "Approximately 50,000 ships with crews that have been fighting Council oppression for months. They're requesting permission to lead the assault on Council military headquarters." Granted. The Drakmari have earned the right to strike the first blow against their oppressors. A urgent communication alert interrupted the briefing. Captain Jinsu's face appeared on the main screen, calling from the human assault on Nexus Prime itself. "Commander, we've breached the main defensive perimeter around the space station. Council resistance is collapsing, but we've discovered something disturbing in their central database." "What kind of discovery?" "Plans for something called the Extinction Protocol. If the Council leadership thought they were going to lose, they were prepared to destroy entire star systems rather than allow them to be liberated." Na-young felt ice form in her stomach. "How many systems were targeted?" "All of them, Commander. Every world that had resisted Council authority was rigged with quantum bombs powerful enough to sterilize entire solar systems. The detonation codes are in the possession of High Chancellor Veltar himself." The war room fell silent as the implications became clear. The Council hadn't just been oppressing the galaxy. They had been holding it hostage. If humanity had waited any longer to act, billions of beings might have died in a final act of alien spite. "Status of the quantum bombs?" Na-young asked. "Our technical teams are locating and disarming them as quickly as possible. So far, we've secured about 60% of the devices. But if Veltar activates the remaining bombs, how long until all devices are neutralized?" "Minimum 12 hours, possibly as long as 24. Na-young made her decision instantly. "All forces are to prioritize capturing Council leadership alive. Use whatever force necessary, but Veltar and his inner circle must be taken before they can activate the Extinction Protocol." Understood. Redirecting all available assets to high-priority targets. As the Liberation War entered its final phase, Na-young realized humanity had arrived just in time. Another few months of preparation might have been too late. The Council's willingness to commit genocide rather than lose power showed exactly why they needed to be stopped. Around the galaxy, human forces and their new alien allies pressed forward with renewed urgency. Every Council leader captured was another step back from galactic extinction. Every quantum bomb disarmed was another solar system saved from destruction. The Liberation War was no longer just about freedom. It had become a race to prevent the greatest act of genocide in galactic history. In 72 hours, it would all be over. One way or another, the age of council tyranny was about to end,